What's up? My name is Chris Coleman. I play guitar and lead worship in the Chris Coleman Band for North Point Community Church Student Ministries, and for the past 7 summers I've been the rhythm guitar player and one of the worship leaders in the BigStuf Band. I'd love to take a second and talk about every guitar player's favorite topic, and that's music gear. The most important thing to think about when you're buying music gear is what's your gear philosophy. And mine, I hope to accomplish 2 goals with all of my equipment, and that's 1, I want to sound good, but 2, I want to make my job easier and less distracting for folks that attend events I get asked to play. So with that in mind, let's take a look at my pedal board. The brain in my pedal board is this guy right here, which is it's called a Mini Effect Gizmo, and it's made by RJM Technologies. What it is it's a looper, a switcher, and a buffer. So all my pedals go into it, and are switched then by this unit right here, which is a Ground Control Pro made by Voodoo Labs. So all of my pedals will stay on all the time, and I'll turn them on and off using this device, which is pretty cool. And so my delay pedal plugs MIDI into the effect gizmo, and then the ground control will send MIDI commands to the delay pedal, which makes it to where I don't have to tap in tempos for every time we change a song, which is pretty neat. It keeps me from tapping while I'm having to sing. So let's talk about my signal chain. The first thing in the chain is this guy right here, which is a compressor made by Wampler pedals called the Ego. And I don't know a ton about compressors. I've only been using it for about 10 months. But what I've noticed is it makes my delay sound really consistent, and it makes my drive sound really transparent, which I really like. I don't always keep the knobs like this, but I kind of tweak it depending on what songs we're playing and how my guitar sounds in the ears. But from there we go to this pedal right here, which is a Blues Driver BD2. I had it for about 10 years, and I had it modded by my friend Jack Vaughn. He made it to where this light is blue, which is pretty awesome. And he added this switch right here, which is a fat switch, which makes it sound fatter. I tend to keep the volume pretty high and the gain as low as I can get it. That way my amp sounds more like my amp and less like a guitar pedal. I rarely ever use that pedal though, because it sounds kind of heavy for what I like. This is my favorite pedal that I've ever bought. It's made by Love Pedal, and it's called the Lay Louie. I love it because it's a drive pedal that only has 1 knob, which makes, again, my amp sound more like my amp and less like a guitar pedal. It has a 3-way switch right here. All 3 of the switches are 3 different Fender style amps. I'm not exactly sure what they are. It's been a while since I've read up on it, but I know that I like the middle position the best. It has this this button right here on the right, which is a saturation knob. Instead of a boost, it kind of makes it more compressed, kind of squashed, which is pretty cool if you're doing like a lead part, which I rarely ever do, so it kind of stays off. From there we go to this Strymon timeline, which quite honestly I haven't learned to love yet because it's really hard to function. It's got a lot of knobs on it, which really isn't my style. But what I do love about it, we've already talked about it, is that it takes MIDI, which is really cool. Every time I hit a button on my switcher, it changes delays on here, and there's enough banks on my switcher to where if we're doing like a long set at BigStuf or a tour, I don't have to ever tap in or preset any delays because I can do it on my switcher and be ready to go. Last but not least, we have this Expression Factory made by Digitech, and I rarely ever use this pedal. It's actually not even powered up right now. The only time I'll ever use it is if we're playing in a situation like my band where we don't have a keyboard player and we need something like a pad or something ambient when there's not a guitar part. It has a really cool setting for that. Other than that, it's pretty useless, so I don't recommend it. Let's move on to guitar amps. This is a Dr. Z Maz 18 No Reverb Junior. It's an 18-watt combo. It sounds really similar to like a Vox AC30, except it's a lot lighter and a lot quieter, which I like, and it's super reliable. I've had it for 7 years, and it's only broken on me once. This right here is Chipper. He's trying to interrupt us. What's up, Chipper? But and it's super cheap to fix. The parts are really easy to come by, which is important. And this right here is a new amp I just got last year, made by Swart. It's a company out of North Carolina, and it's called the Atomic Space Tone Pro. It's also, I think it's 15 or 18 watts, but it's super loud for how small it is, and it has a spring reverb and a tube tremolo, which I'd never had in an amp before, but I really like the way it sounds, and I really like how light it is, being how small of a dude I am. Last but not least, we have this 11 rack, which is an amp modeler, which is really cool if you can't afford an amp, or maybe you're playing at a church where you're not able to have a really loud amp on stage or backstage. You can take an amp out of the equation altogether and use this guy. It has effects on it, or you can plug your pedal board right into it. I love to use this when we fly different places and can't bring our amps. At least I know what I'm going to sound like everywhere I go, and it's a super good option if you don't have an amp. So let's talk about mics. I don't know a ton about mic placement, but our guitar player Curtis does, and so he's kind of helped me figure out where we like the mics and tape it in, so I don't have to do any guesswork when we go places. And it also is a lot of trial and error depending on what kind of speaker you have and what kind of mics you're using. And for me, I like to use a dynamic mic like an SM57 or like this mic, which is an SM7. This is a mic that's typically been used for vocals on the radio or like singing in the studio. I know Michael Jackson used it on his vocals some, and I've used it on every record I've ever made for vocals, and I think it sounds really cool on guitars as well. If you have the chance to double mic your guitar amp, like have two mics on the same speaker, it works really cool to pair up something like a ribbon mic, which is this, I have a Cascade Fathead ribbon mic, which is super dark, but when you pair it up with a dynamic mic, it blends together really cool. And this mic is super affordable, so I really like it for that. Let's talk about guitars. This guitar right here is a Fender Telecaster. I like it honestly because it's gold, and I have a gold Gibson that matches it. But I got it from a guy at my church. I think it's a custom deluxe or something like that. But I love it. It's got locking tuners on it, and it's got Fender Broadcaster style pickups, which are super bright, but high output. I really like it. Great guitar for doing rhythm stuff, which is what I typically do. Moving on to this guitar. This is my favorite guitar that I've ever bought. It's a Fender Gibson 1954 Custom Shop VOS. It came with P90s in it, which are high output single coils, which I found to be really cool, but they buzzed a lot, which I wasn't able to use all that much because of it. So I changed them out for these mini humbuckers, which are made by Jason Lawler, which I had never had a humbucking guitar before, but this is really cool for what I do. It fills up a lot of space for rhythm guitars, and it's the perfect balance between being bright and being round, I've found. So really cool pickups. Just check them out. They make single coils for Strats or for Teles, and they make humbuckers for whatever guitar you want. He'll make them, and he actually custom wound these to this guitar. I told him what kind of guitar I had, and he was able to suggest what type of pickup he likes the best for it. So, and he was right. It sounds great. Moving on from there, we have my acoustic. I have a lot of acoustics, but this is the one that I like to play live because of the pickup system I have installed in it. This is a HD28 Martin from 1998. I love the way the top is. It's kind of aged. But I have a K&K Western Mini in this guitar. I believe it's called a Pure Mini now. But it has 3 transducers that go on the body, which picks up every nuance of the guitar, as opposed to like a mic or a piezo pickup that you would have to blend. This has no preamp on board, so it's really up to your sound guy to make it sound awesome. And we're blessed and fortunate to have really awesome sound guys at church and at BigStuf that do a really good job. So this guitar is great. I really recommend the K&K Western Mini. It's really affordable, does a really good job. You have to use a feedback buster when you use the K&K, which is this guy. It just fills up the sound holes so that no sound goes in the guitar and makes feedback. Let's talk about in-ears for a second. I have used in-ears for about 8 years. I started out with Shure E2s and E5s, and those sounded great. Moved on to Ultimate ear molds and West Tone molds, and this summer my West Tone molds broke on me, and I heard about this company called All Clear that makes really affordable custom molds. I got these guys this summer for about 1/4 of the price that I spent on my Ultimate ear and West Tones, and they sound cool. Coolest thing about them is they'll print your logo on the ears for like an extra 20 bucks, and so mine says CCB, a little band logo. These sound incredible, and the coolest thing about them is they're a really small company, and so you have access to the guys who own the company. So if you have any questions, or if you have any problems with them, they'll take care of you directly, and you don't have to talk to somebody on a 1-800 number or something. They're really easy to deal with, and I love that about them. So I think that pretty much covers it, and I'd love to talk to you more if you have any questions. I'm not the best gear expert, but I really love this stuff, and I love to research it. So I'd love to talk to you. I'm on Twitter at Chris Coleman, Instagram Chris Coleman Music, YouTube Chris Coleman Music, and I'm on Facebook as well as Chris Coleman. So have a great day. Hope to see you guys on the road or at BigStuf. See ya.